Martin's
This meeting is being recorded.
Practical Computer Advice. And I play both kinds of music, Macintosh and Windows.
Thank you. Arthur. Arthur, you listen. Can people hear me okay?
Yeah. Arthur was on a cell phone call.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Arnie, are you with us? Hello, Arthur.
Yeah. Hello. Did you ever move everything into your house? Sorry.
I am, but I'm probably here.
Yes, Arthur was kind enough to donate a fabulous amount of stuff for our computer program. And so really grateful. Hold on just a sec. I'm just having a little trouble with the audio. Bear with me. They're testing. Testing.
We're good.
Can you turn off your mic? Mute yourself.
If not,
And I'll mute my audio. So you're muted?
yep, I'm hearing everything through my headphones.
Adam keeps appearing in two different screens here.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. Okay. No, we should put in that. So, Steve, you're. Are you sure?
Yep,
You're not.
I'm hearing everything.
You're hearing what
I'm hearing everything through my headphones.
It's all right. So, we're a technology group. Question: why are we getting an echo? So that's in front of my machine, but my machine is muted. Right.
Probably just that the speakers are too close. Actually, no, it's not weird. This is showing as unmuted.
Am I muted?
I have it clicked as muted, but okay, I'll just disable. Okay. Now.
Testing. Testing.
Video says. Okay. Wait.
So wait, I can't hear you at all. You're muted. Is that
So here it's showing up on the button that I press, it's showing up as muted, but on my picture icon, it's not showing up as muted. I'm just trying to now disable the.
I think we'll be okay. So here's what we'll do. I'm gonna.
Okay, I just disabled the microphone.
Okay. Yeah, I may have to re-enable it, but okay. Okay. Can people hear me now? Can people hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Can people hear me? Arthur, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
And we can hear you. So Arthur, tell us about yourself.
Okay. The president of Mentor Systems, we've been in business for 43 years, providing network and desktop support for small businesses and home offices. And a contributor to Adam's computer trove, but have been working in computers actually for 64 years. So that's even more frightening.
What are the initials on your license plate, Arthur?
My license plate is CMPUTR. I had to leave some letters out to make. But you did notice the license plate.
Yes, I did. Lane, could you come up and introduce yourself? Lane, we're going to use this guest mode for that.
Hi, I'm Lane. I'm an intern at with Adam at Computer Care and Learning. I'm also a student here at Mass Bay for Information Systems and Technology Management, and I'm hoping to get into the computer business, doing some sort of administration around IT support.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve from North. I'm actually the communication coordinator for the Boston Network Users Group. I'm also a WordPress website developer and a longtime member of the regular Get Connected Clinic and many other ventures in the computer industry. Just letting everybody know quickly, I am kind of ending my term and my things at the Get Connected Clinic, so I will no longer be associated with that clinic from this point on. So, just all announcement.
Thank you. Understand.
There we go. Yeah, I'm a retiree. I used to write affirmative action programs for federal contractors. And I have a home network, which is why I'm part of VNet.
Thank you. Sharif, could you introduce yourself? Sharif? Haley? Haley, could you introduce yourself? Haley, are you there? Oh, Haley's getting set up. All right, so I think, Baid, could you introduce yourself? Hello, Baid.
Hi, this is Obaid. So I work at retail about 9 years now in Boston. So here with Mr. Adam, I'm just learning and collaborating computer learning system and also web for business.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we have two agendas today. One of them is I want to continue our discussion about how computers work. And we actually, Lane introduced me this week to a new tool that I want to share with you all. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment. Bear with me. I'm going to try switching to a different machine. Lane, can you turn the mic back on that machine? So I'm muting on this.
Testing. Because the speakers.
Can we turn off the speaker?
No, it's to those people.
It's coming out of there.
Right, and then this mic's picking it up.
So I try to sit down. Now, can we hear anybody?
Hello?
Could somebody say something up there in the world?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear us out here?
Yeah, I'll mute the speaker on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to use this computer. Go to mute that again. That's fine.
Haley just came on.
Thank you. Okay. So now
That's not it.
Lane is disabling the computer. We got the network over here. Welcome everyone. So, Haley, do you want to introduce yourself while I'm getting ready here?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm Haley. I'm from Brockton, Massachusetts, and currently I just finished my degree, well, not current, just finished, but I finished my associates in computer science programming. I'm planning heading back to school for to get my bachelor's for programming eventually. The goal is to go to Bridgewater State, and right now I'm currently working under Adam as an intern at his business for computer care and learning.
Thank you, Haley. So what I want to begin with is we were talking last time about how a computer works, and we were getting ready for this talk today, which is about Rube Goldberg. And what I thought would be fun would be to show you this tool that we're going to use to talk about the Rube Goldberg machine, but to begin by using it to talk about computers. So I'm going to open this. Some of it can be very familiar to some people, and less familiar, judging from our Web for Business class today, less familiar to others. So what we're going to talk about first is logic gates. I always thought it was kind of amusing that the founder of the modern computer world in the 20th century was a man named Bill Gates, because logic gates were absolutely central to how computers work. I think that was just a coincidence. Bear with me just a second. What a logic gate is a way to take two pieces of knowledge and combine them in different ways. So, hold on just a second. And so, what a logic gate allows us to do is to take a yes and a yes and combine it and get an answer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get into this. This is a Zoom screen here. I'm going to share. And just bear with me because I'm on a couple different layers of machines here, so I get easily confused. But let me try this. There we go. Can everyone see Arthur here? A black screen?
Yeah, there's a black screen.
Great. Okay. So this is the new.
Echo.
Hold on. Why is that happening? Okay. I wonder if remote PC is transmitting the sound. Can people hear me okay?
Yes, good now.
Good. So this is the program that we're exploring. It's called draw.io. And you can use it on the web at draw.io, or you can go to draw.io and download it to your computer, regardless of what your platform is. It's multi-platform. And it lets you create diagrams. So there's all kinds of fun diagrams you can create. What I want to demonstrate today is just doing a blank one. And you have, over here, you have this shape feature. And it gives you all these different shapes to choose from. And if you go down here and say more shapes, you get to pick all these different things you can get shapes about. Let me show you. It's a long list. So some of these shapes are related to particular company equipment, and they give you pictures for that piece of equipment, like Citrix and Cisco. So some of this is electrical. There's some electrical icons. There are many other icons to choose from. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and look at the electrical icons. So this is electrical logic gates. And what this system lets you do is pick a particular gate. So I'm going to pick this one. This is a very famous logic gate. This is called an OR gate. And then I'm going to pick another famous logic gate. Find it. I'm sorry, this is an AND gate. I'm going to get an OR gate. There's an OR gate. Now, what this program lets you do is you can decorate this in all kinds of different ways. What I want to do first is to demonstrate what these gates do, because they're really central to the way a computer works. So this gate here, if I click here, left click, double left click, it lets me put in text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the number 0. And here I'm going to put in another. It did something funny when I wrote it. It really wanted. Try that again. So now I have two inputs, 0 and 0. Logic folks, what does 0 and 0 give you with an OR gate? What should be over here? What's going to come out on this wire? A 1 or 0?
0.
That's right. That's because what the OR gate is saying is, if you have a 0 here and a 0 here, meaning if neither one of them is a 1, then you're going to get a 0. But something different happens when you put in a different input. So I'm going to make a copy of this. And they have this nice feature called paste here. And now all I need to do is edit this a little bit. So what we're going to do, find a good place to put this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and change this to a 1. Now this is an OR gate, so it's got a 1 and a 0 coming in. What's going to come out here?
Since either one is a 1, or says the result is a 1.
It's basically saying if you have either the first one or the second one being a 1, you get a 1. That's what an OR gate does. What it's saying is that if either one of them is a 1, you win. It's basically a liberal regime. It's basically saying you get a 1 here, fine. You get a 1 here, fine. I'll take 1 0. That's okay. I don't mind. I'll give you a 1. Now the AND gate is not so liberal. The AND gate is tough. So we're going to go over to the AND gate and see how that works. The AND gate, we're going to put a let's see, we'll do. I'm backwards. You're still right. Yeah, thanks for fixing that. So this isn't this AND is this gate. This is wrong what I did. What should be here for an AND gate if it's 1 and 0?
An AND gate requires both inputs be 1 before it will ever say 1 on the output.
Right. You can't get a 0. It's a tough regime. You have to have both of these be 1 to get a 1. So we're going to get a 0. Now this one is an OR gate. And I think it'd be nice. I don't know if it allows you to write something in. I don't think you can write something in a symbol.
Well, you can probably make a floating piece of text and overlay it.
Yeah, to put one underneath it.
Well, you can add a caption below it, but you can probably overlay a floating piece of text as well.
I've not been able to do that yet, but maybe we can figure out how to do it.
Well, okay. I've never used this, but just a theory.
Yeah. Latest thing I should be able to drag the text in. Let's see if I can do that.
No, that's text. Then you have the other.
Like this little text?
Into the middle.
Let's find it if I can. So I can say and now I can take the drag button. That worked. Okay, so there's an and, there's an and. And now down here is going to be or. So we'll do, oopsie. There's or, and we can change the font. This is a sophisticated processing system with lots of nice features.
You have to select before you change the font. Otherwise, you're just changing the insertion point.
Let's see. I think that worked. Yeah, I don't have to select, but I have to start over. There's or. All right, Martin, tell me what I should put here to show off this or in its glory.
Oh, well, it depends. If you want an exhaustive list, you need 8 different diagrams. I'm sorry, 4 different diagrams. But if you want to just demonstrate the basic, one should mix a 1 and a 0, and then you'll get a 1.
A 1 and a 0. Okay, so we're going to go here, put a 1 here. Let's see. And I'm going to click here, and I'm going to put Martin's having me put a 0 here. So we've got 1 and 0. And what does or do? Or is nicer than and. And insists that both be 1s to get a 1 out of it. But an or is nicer. So Stan, what do we get over here? What is going to be the output? If we have a 1 and a 0 in an or gate, what's going to be the output? I agree. It's going to be a 1 because or is nicer than and. And is not nice. Look at and. And's taking a 1, you're giving a nice 1, you're giving a 0, and it says not good enough for me. I won't give you a 1 for that. And is tougher. So this is a logic gate, and this is the draw IO program, and a little warm up for what's next. But if you think about this, one other nice thing about this program is you can print it as a PDF or anything else. If you start thinking about how you might be able to use this in a computer, we very often have to make decisions about things. And if we say both of these numbers have to be 1, it's sort of like saying these numbers have to add up to the number 3, and then we'll do one thing. So this is used in computers as a way of addressing things. So, for example, we've got this AND gate here, and if we want, we could say if the address is 1, 1, then turn on this wire. So if the address is 1, 1, I want you to go to this particular space. This is the way addressing works in computers, is that you use wires coming in to create the address. So think of these two things as being address wires. So if we use an AND gate, the way the address wire would work is if someone puts in an address of 1, 1, which in binary is the number 3, it's going to point to a certain spot in memory, maybe the 3rd location in memory. And that way we're using the AND gate as an addressing tool. If you put in a different number, it won't address that gate. It will not address anything. A lot more to be said about that. We'll keep at it. Now to the main, that was the appetizer, now to the main course. So what I promised to talk with you all tonight, was about Rube Goldberg. So I'm going to keep my promise. It turns out that Rube Goldberg has a museum online. Just a second. I have Zoom floating around here. I have to get to my, there we go. Okay. So Rube Goldberg. It's the Rube Goldberg Institute. And who is Rube Goldberg? He was a very successful cartoonist who smoked cigars. There he is. And he created these cartoons that were really popular, that helped people think about machines. So we're going to go to the cartoon gallery just to get a feel for a Rube Goldberg machine. So this is a very classic Rube Goldberg machine. He wrote it in 1929, beginning of 1929, and it is an appliance to put a stamp on an envelope. So it's a little hard to read the text on the left, so I'll help you with it. So here's what happens. The boss sneezes or makes a loud belching noise. That scares the dog, who starts running. Now the dog is tied to the hat rack. So the hat rack pulls forward. Notice the hat just flies away. There's a little miscellaneous stuff in a Goldberg machine. The hat rack comes forward and smashes the water cooler. Water pours out of the break in the water cooler down this ramp into a bucket. The bucket pulls down on this pulley, pulling up this little handle here, which squeezes a bulb, which squirts water onto the stem. Then what happens is something unexpected. The secretary, who's downstairs, hears the water pouring, and she thinks it's raining. So she rushes into the office to get her umbrella, which is attached here. Let's see if I'm drawing too well. That's the umbrella. She grabs the umbrella, which is hooked onto this little pin. It releases, pulling the umbrella away, releases this panel, which flaps around and causes the wet stamp to get put onto the envelope. And then the envelope is ready for mail. Now, why would I want to talk about Rube Goldberg machines in a computer group? Well, very often the work that we do has a Rube Goldberg quality. And so I want to share that with you. I want to share a particular story with you and actually have some help in doing so. Lane is going to help us explore a particular backup system that we helped the company set up. And you'll see the echoes of Rube Goldberg. Lane, do you want to do it on this machine? Yeah. So
just get there from this IO file of recent.
Okay, or just go to the BNUG folder.
The other day.
I'll say it at this time, obviously. So we're in the BNUG folder, and let's see if we can find the draw IO folder in the BNUG folder. So it's in this. This is the Rube Goldberg discussion. Yeah. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Lane.
All right. Here. I'm not too familiar with what was going on beforehand with this section. You could explain the background of what used to be.
So here's the story. For a long time, this company was using, I think, a Windows 7 machine. No, actually, it had a file server. It had a Windows 2008 file server. And we had to get rid of it. It was not okay to have such an old machine, and it had a bunch of other issues. So the way I decided to get rid of it was to replace it with a very nice, expensive Windows 10 machine. We actually have two of them. You see them here, these two precision workstations. So we decided to use one of these to do simple file sharing. This is an organization with just about 10 people. And so we didn't need a lot of fancy, it didn't make sense to me to spend a lot of money on a Windows file server. And for many, many, many years, I would say 25, used Windows Office-based workstations as very effective file sharing devices for small offices. We worked just fine. People were just sharing files. They weren't doing anything fancy. There were no security issues. All the things that Windows Server stuff makes necessary was not necessary. And I've had very good success with that until this customer. What was the difference? The difference was Windows 10. So the introduction of Windows 10 to this environment and using Windows 10 as a sharing machine was a failure. People would complain that their files took 5 minutes to work, to open up. There were all kinds of speed issues. And so I thought, oh my God, we got ripped off by Dell. I'll just switch everything to the other precision workstation and get this one fixed. Same problems, exactly the same problems. These were duplicate workstations straight out of the factory. There was no opportunity for a virus or anything else. There was something really wrong here. And I started asking around. And among other people, Jeff Katz, one of our members, told me that he had the same problems with Windows 10. All kinds of weird, difficult networking problems. And I started doing research and discovered lots of people had these problems. It turned out that when Microsoft implemented file sharing in Windows 10, they did it really badly. And it works really, really badly. So this is a serious problem. I basically set up a system that didn't work for this customer. So we suffered for a while, and then Jeff made a really good suggestion in this at BNet. One of the many reasons why I like coming to BNet. He said, I've been using this system called Synology. Let me show you. So we did a little shopping and a little research. Now, Synology is called network attached storage. So this is the model that we ended up getting. Let me just tell you a little bit about this company before we talk about how we implemented it. It's really kind of interesting. It's an unusual arrangement. So this is the device that you buy. And what's weird about it is it doesn't have any hard drives in it. You buy it empty from Synology. It holds 5 hard drives, which you buy separately on your own. You pick out the hard drives. We ended up picking out 5 industrial strength Seagate drives. And we put them in this machine. You slide them in. It's a very straightforward procedure. It took maybe half. You take each drive, you put in these little plastic. The thing is like a piece of plastic. There's nothing fancy about it. You open it up, you put it in the drives, and then you turn it off. And then the fancy stuff starts. So what's remarkable about this device is once you put in the drives, it then combines the drive into one big Synology drive that you can use for storage on a network with a wide range of very sophisticated tools, which we'll be exploring tonight. This Synology drive is extremely reliable. The one at the customer in question has been up for 230 days without any kind of problem at all, which I've never had a Windows device that behaved that way. And the sophisticated tools allowed us to do something else that we'll talk about in more detail, which is we bought 2 of these and put one in my office in Jamaica Plain and the other in this company's office, which we'll say is in Dover. And we synchronized these drives. And this is our solution to this problem. I just want to say in the opening before Lane describes how this is laid out, this has been very effective. It really worked. We haven't had any of the slowness or the other problems that people had. And it turned out to have many other advantages. So Lane's going to come and share how this is put together.
All righty. For diagram here. So. Find out where in the.
Yeah, when you do, can you talk a little bit about how the synchronization worked?
I'm just trying to, yeah, just where is, oh God, I'm so used to navigating the thing with the mouse that. This is not the one we have been working on. Yeah. I'm just gonna go off of it was in there, I guess, but there we go. That looks more familiar to me. All right, this is the setup that we have. Just try and zoom a little bit here. We have a diagram sort of representing the system architecture of the client office here, and the computer care and learning office here. And we will be following along the sort of general path that the files take from their own personal workstations at the office, which actually, thanks to this Synology drive and yet another program that we sort of make use of called RiDrive, it allows the employees there to work on those same files from home with no issues, no need to do any sort of remote access, like remote desktop access or VPNs into their office network. With this RiDrive program, it just sort of tricks your computer into thinking that a drive that is completely somewhere else is on your own computer and treats it as such. So then from their workstations, the data gets onto the Synology drive. And now the nice thing about the Synology drive then, and here where we really get into the Rube Goldberg sort of feel for things, is it goes from this Synology drive, we'll call it A, through their router to the internet and everything. And then that goes to our system here, into then the Synology network attached storage and the CCAL office. Oh. That is through the Synology's sort of synchronization share thing. Yeah, it's one of the sort of the Synology is sort of like a very specialized computer almost, and it has its own like kind of app store, or like not necessarily store, but it has a suite of apps that you can download called packages, right? Right. Yeah. Yep, it's the whole Synology is a very is a single purpose computer, just very specialized into what it does, like how you can have single purpose computers for what most people are going to run these days, are things like gaming consoles, but obviously you can have them for more, let's say, business based. Yeah. Yes, we will get to that. So from backwards, scroll with touch points. So from the files getting into our office here into our own sort of Synology B drive, from there we can take. We have actually attached to that a external hard drive, which we then use another Synology package called Hyper Backup. Second row from the top. That's the cute little external hard drive. Ah, yes. Yeah, and this one was actually, yeah, it's 8 terabyte drive. We have it attached. Let me just hide this again. We have that attached to the Synology drive at the CCAL office to do a sort of physical file backup. It is a file backup. It's not like an image. We just take all the files of the system and back them up, similar to what we tend to use and recommend to people on their own computers is Macrium, although in that case it is an image. This just takes all the files, puts it on an external hard drive. If there's some sort of failure with the Synology drives, we have that backup there. And one of the purposes that Alan has said before was why the original idea of having the second Synology drive at his office is, God forbids anything goes wrong with their one, he can take that drive and drive it himself down to their office and just plug it in, and they've got their backup system there.
Well, yeah.
You know, they have a massive power outage or a fire, God forbid something.
So this means that within an hour or so,
can everyone hear Adam?
can people hear what I'm saying?
Hello?
Can people on Zoom hear me?
I mean, you can hear like Lane. Adam's kind of in like the background where it kind of faded.
Can you hear me now, Haley?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to remember to get in front of the mic. So my thinking about it was that we have all these different layers of disasters to protect against. So the one that I was most worried about is this Synology device is reliable, but it could fail. Like the electricity inside the computer could just crap out, or there could be some kind of thing. And if that happened, this company would be out of work. Like the company would stop functioning because people wouldn't have access to their files. So I would take my drive and bring it there and plug it in, and they would be working again within an hour or so. That was part of my thinking about this. But it's not enough, and Lane's going to explain why that layer of backup is not enough.
So seeing that we're talking about Synology drives, I was wondering what is the basic Synology drive setup sells for, and that may be.
I think I can answer because I was looking at the prices for them recently. I think for the more basic 2-drive Synology devices, it was around in the like low mid 200s.
That's not bad.
And I believe that's without the hard drives. And then and then roughly, and I was only looking at them on Micro Center, but roughly it was however many drives it could fit. It was like $100. So the 5-drive setup was around $500. The 3-drive setup was around $300.
Because I was thinking about it in a business. I was thinking about it in a business sense. Since I do run a nonprofit organization, and I've always tried to figure out a way to save those important files, because you're supposed to keep those files legally 5 years. And if, God forbid, should anything happen to the computer system that I use, or something happens to the house that I live in, I have a backup. And I'm thinking about, because you guys are mentioning it this way, and so that, you know, I actually looked into the possibility of setting up something very similar to this, to save the files just in case something happens.
Yeah, even personally myself, I was looking into it for my home. I live with my parents. They do a lot of their work from home. And so ever since interning with Adam, they know I've been pushing them really hard on like, hey, are you guys are you CMR 20117? So where we're again, right? So we have attached to the Synology drive at our office, the external hard drive, backing that up. And you have one more layer.
I'd like you to explain why we bother, since we have this duplicate drive. One's in Jamaica Plain, the other's in Dover. Why do we have to have a hard drive attached? Why is that necessary?
There is, I believe what I'm referring to leads back to that ride drive program I was mentioning earlier, which is how the employees access their files, is that there's one downside to this program, which is whatever they do on ride drive happens to the files. Like it's not some sort of copy that they have where they sort of get their own instance of the files, where if they mess up and delete something, they can just, you know, get that back. It's someone could accidentally, or if they get like a virus or something and someone like crypto locks to their computers. Like they could feasibly get access to and destroy, wipe, lock up the whole Synology drives because of this RIDE drive program that they used to access it.
It's not just the RIDE drive that's the issue. The workstations at work are the issue too. There are 10 workstations. There's no reason why they couldn't become infected, or an employee who's working, having a bad day, erases all the files by accident or on purpose. I want to emphasize that Synology in the system we have, and I just wanted to address Drew's question about synchronization. Synology has a feature called Share Sync, which basically says, I'm a Synology drive, there's a Synology drive, I want all the stuff from there. And it synchronizes the two drives together. We're using that feature, which I'll try to show you later. But the problem with sync, as anyone who's used Apple products has probably learned the hard way, is that if you do something to your tablet, that thing gets replicated to, you know, see where I'm going with this? Yeah, in Apple is not a backup system, it's a replication system. This system, until we added that hard drive, is a replication system. Very important, provides some good security and speed, like my ability to bring their whole computer, their whole drive in an hour is amazing. But the price is, if somebody screws up, we're in big trouble. And that was why we hung that hard drive off this device.
And then sort of going on from there, we have one more step because, you know, God forbid something horrible goes wrong with the entire greater Boston area power up system fries every machine in the state. We have yet another thing that can get around that, which is we have in our own network, we have a computer sort of dedicated to doing this, where through another program called ThinkBack, and using RIDE drive to get access to the Synology files on this computer, which is just a regular Windows 10 machine. And then there's a program called ThinkBack, which also allows for mirroring or synchronization and backups of the files. What we do is mirror all the files on the network drive to this computer's own hard drive. And, you know, that gives one extra thing, you know, of protection. But then what we do from there is this service, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it, called Backblaze. It's similar to, what's the name of that other one? Carbonite? Yes, thank you, Adam. It is similar to Carbonite, where it is an offsite online backup where it pulls the files, it copies the files you indicate to from your computer. You know, we have this very long tube sort of coming along through, break out the router to the internet and to Backblaze here. And the very nice thing about Backblaze is it will copy the files from your computer, and once they're on Backblaze, you cannot change those files. You can't tell Backblaze, hey, delete those for me. As long as you have it's like, what is it like? It will hold it for as long as you're paying membership plus a year or something like that. Because Backblaze will have your files, and then you need to pull down specific files. You can grab specific files from Backblaze, but you're just grabbing a copy of them. They're still in there. And, you know, if something goes wrong, Backblaze can, on more of a delay, mail you a hard drive with all of your files in it too. So, you know, if something goes wrong simultaneously with their whole setup and our whole setup, we still have yet a third offsite wherever they host things. God only knows. And, you know, it's all encrypted. It's totally safe. There's no way anyone on their end or anywhere else without the encryption key can get access to these for our clients' information. Yes, checking, a lot of what we do is maintenance and sort of routine checks on backup systems we run for clients, and that has definitely been part of the reason why I've become sort of very familiar with especially this portion of the system, is because we've had to do in the past 2 months a lot of checking on it. Sort of the whole thing with ThinkBack, grabbing from the drive, you know, all these moving parts. You know, the more parts in the Rube Goldberg machine, the more parts there are for something to go wrong, even if all these parts you also provide. You know, if one thing goes wrong, we have these backups for it. but also the more complicated something is, the more likely it is for one little thing to compound into something further down the chain not working.
But the pleasure of this system is that in the Rube Goldberg machine of the stamping thing, if you get a stamped envelope at the end, you can pretty much assume that the dog did his thing and the water did his thing and the secretary did her thing. So we've developed a strategy where instead of checking this whole chain all the time, we go in and check Backblaze. Because if the stuff got to Backblaze, that meant the sync worked. It meant that the sync back that goes to the portable machine, that machine, yeah, we know that worked. We know that Backblaze is functioning properly. So it's really pretty wonderful, because if a recent file, which we can check by date or some other criteria, if something we know people worked on gets to Backblaze, that means everything else is working. We don't have to check it quite as often. The only exception we found the hard way is that external hard drive backup. You have to check that individually because you don't really know whether that's working or not. That's like a separate reservoir. You may ask the question, are you crazy? Feel free. But I don't think so. My experience with computer equipment is that it's lousy. I've had so many occasions where several things have gone wrong, sometimes with very good intentions of the designers. And I'll talk about some of the things that have gone wrong with this system. But having all these layers makes me feel much safer about this customer stuff. It really feels like it would be very difficult for us to lose anything serious. So what I thought we might do is go through and talk about the different pieces in some detail and show you, to the extent that I can without sharing private information of this customer, show you the actual Synology software.
The OneDrive pulling as well?
I think we'll hold off on that because it drives us crazy. Yeah, we have, unfortunately, this customer, there's several people who are highly placed in this organization who love OneDrive. And they, in addition to using the Synology drive, they use OneDrive. And it created this extra layer of complexity that I'm still dizzy.
Cool.
What I'm trying to do now, as best I can, is to give a bit of a demo of how this stuff is actually implemented right now. I'm really grateful again, Len, to your sharing this new tool, because at least this diagram really helps me understand it better. I don't expect everyone to have the same intimacy we have with this system as we have, but I do want to just walk you through it one more time, just so as we look at the actual Synology stuff, you'll have a feeling geographically of where you are. All right, the real work is getting done here. We've got 10 people working every day on their workstations or on their home drive. It's not in this diagram, but you can imagine that there is Steve. Oh, do you need us? Yeah, could you wait? Yeah, just wait. Or show all of us. Steve, if you want to share, but don't share to somebody in the middle. No, don't, please. Okay. So if you want to share, go ahead.
So for those looking into getting Synology drives, I just checked into Micro Center in Cambridge. They have a 2-bit disk station, DS224 plus diskless for $339.99. And the 4-bay goes for $679 currently. So those are two I found from Synology. If anyone's interested. Which makes me very interested in.
Okay. So let me just walk through this picture one more time, and then we'll start looking at Steve, I really mean it. Thank you. Okay. So we've got this company, we've got these people, they're on workstations at the office. This is post-COVID, right? A lot of this stuff was created to make it possible to work off-site. So that what's missing from this diagram right now is the Y drive. So let me just add this to the diagram. We're going to go over here to shapes. And we're going to put a workstation, but this workstation is going to be over here at somebody's house. So home workstation. on a machine we know nothing about. The idea that an IT department can actually control what's on people's workstation, I get it. And the workstation can be a Mac or a PC. But half these characters use a Mac, half use a PC. So for the PC, we use RIDRIVE.
What was that again?
I'm gonna write it out for you. It's RIDRIVE.
Oh, RAI Drive. I've used that.
Oh, is that how you pronounce it? I always pronounce it RIDRIVE. RAI?
RAI Drive. Yeah, RAI
whatever,
Drive.
whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
main point is it's a free program that is remarkable. It's just astonishing. What it does is it lets you connect remotely to a NAS or many other storage devices, and gives you a letter drive, like a new G drive. But that G drive is this. It's the Synology drive with very little fuss. It's really quite remarkable. I'm going to use the line feature. See this little arrow here? If you go like this, you could make a nice line to where we're going here. So this is going through the internet, and RIDRIVE gives access to the Synology drive, gives everybody access, perfect access as far as I can tell. I've never had a single complaint of speed issues or any kind of problem people have with files with their RIDRIVEs. For Mac, it turns out that Mac itself has a internet file sharing feature. You basically just put the IP address of the Synology device into your Mac, and you get access to the drive. So Mac has this built in natively. So this is where all the work's going on. People are using this drive constantly. It's constantly, they're making changes to files, they're doing all this stuff. Very exciting. Now, Drew asked, how does this get to my house? And the answer is, if I can scroll, we'll scroll. Oh, maybe this is the shape. Just trying to get down here. Oh, it's got a little scroll. I was having trouble with that. Okay. So what's going on here? We've got this internet cloud here. What's really happening is that Synology, I think it starts with the B drive. My drive at my house is called the B drive. This is the A drive. The Synology drive runs this program called ShareSync, and you put in the address of this Synology drive. This is this ShareSync program in real time. In real time, this ShareSync program takes every single file that's changed on the disk drive at work and puts it on my drive. And we don't go the other direction because the drive here in my office is never written to. It's always just from the other machine. But the effect of it is the one in my machine, because of this sync program, the ShareSync program, that's built into Synology. It's part of the price of the Synology system. Guarantees that the file within 2 minutes or something, that the file on my system are going to match the files on the system in the office. This itself is a wonderful backup. It means if somebody loses a file and something bad happens at that Synology level, at the one in the office, I'll have it here. But we realized that because of the synchronization nature, if someone does something stupid with a file, I will also have a stupid thing on mine. So we need other things. So what we did is we hang this is a simple Seagate 8 terabyte hard drive, nothing fancy, hanging off this. Synology has a special feature called Hyper Backup. It's a program that comes free with Synology. It's part of the package. And it hyper backups the entire Synology drive onto this drive and does so in rotation. I think we have 3 backups or 4 backups going. So 3 days of backups that we can go back to. But you can You can hear my Borgia-like mind, or maybe you would say my neurotic mind worrying, but wait a minute. What if somebody deletes a file and it's more than 3 days? And this can absolutely happen in a company. That's what leads to this next layer that we added. Among other, there are other reasons for it, but that was an important reason for the next layer. So this fellow here is a simple workstation. It's an 8 gigabyte workstation with a 4 terabyte hard drive, which is enough. Their data in this company is about 1.5 terabytes. That's what we're dealing with. I want to add that if I had my way, it would be 200 gigabytes. I think a lot of this stuff is not very useful, but because of the nature of this organization, they will not get rid of it. We're stuck with it, and our job is to protect it. What we do. So we've got this drive, we've got this machine. Now this is a simple workstation. What it's doing is it's using sync back. So let me make that larger so that people can see. This will let me do it.
Sync back is like a backup program.
It is a backup program. I think of it. I really don't think of it as a backup program. It's really more a sync back is more of a. See if I can increase that font. You mean these guys? It's something at the top, Steve. I wouldn't worry about it. I think yeah.
The best way to think of SyncBack is that it can function as a backup program. It can also function as a synchronization program. So backup kind of implies one way, synchronize kind of implies 2 ways.
And these guys go 3 ways. Like SyncBack is the most complicated program, aside from Blender, I've ever encountered. The different choices you can make about, do you want to synchronize these 2 files? Do you want to mirror them? Do you want to back them up? Do you want to take one and talk French to it and take another and talk Spanish to it? Like, it's just this very complicated program and a very dangerous one if you're not careful, because it creates.
Are you using the free, the Home, or the Pro?
So we're using Pro, but not for this, what I'm talking about. So because we have this OneDrive situation, we had to get the Pro to handle the OneDrive situation. But all the stuff that we're doing can be done with the free sync back, except for the OneDrive part. Everything else, the free one works fine. I'm very impressed with this company for being so generous. Most companies will handicap the program in all kinds of ways to make you buy the expensive one. And SyncBack has been 2 Byte Sparks has been very generous with their program. They have a really great functioning program that's available for free and has been for as long as I've known them. So what we're doing with SyncBack is we're saying we actually use RiDrive here. We made a RiDrive on this machine, just like we did to imagine you're just like a worker. You've got a RiDrive that's pointing to the whole data folder. Then we told SyncBack, take everything that's on the RiDrive and put it on the C drive, on this computer C drive in a folder. Take everything and sync it, so that everything that we brought over from this other company through the internet is now it's here. Now it's here. There's an exact copy, up to date within a couple hours at most. The problem is it's so much data that it can't synchronize everything at once. There's just too much. But within several hours, what you've got here is exactly what's here.
Right.
Okay.
Now, Adam, can I interrupt for one quick second?
Please.
This is a good diagram for this. The program that I think I did a speech, I'm not sure if I did a whole meeting on it, but that program that you may have heard me refer to called SyncThing.
SyncThing, yep.
And SyncThing can run on a NAS server, and it can run on Windows, and you could, in theory, eliminate the SyncBack program, the RiDrive software, and just use SyncThing between the 2 machines.
So you'd propose using SyncThing on a worker's machine at home?
I have it on all of my computers.
But my question is it, would they be better off? They're using RiDrive, which is working fine. It makes the drive for them and they know what they're doing. What would SyncThing add to their experience or to the, what would be better than Ride Drive? What would make it better than Ride Drive?
One thing that you can add to the product is file versioning. It supports optionally file versioning. So you could say, every time I save my document.doc, I want you to keep the last 50 copies or the last many copies that you can store on this terabyte of storage.
And is that kept in the workstation, or is it kept in the, like if I'm a worker and I've got my workstation at home and I'm using SyncThing and I save a file, is the extra files, the archival files, are they kept on my machine or are they kept centrally?
The user can go into a web console on their computer and go into the history folder and extract whatever they want and
So
restore
it's stored
back
on their, these history files are stored on their computer?
in the SyncThing database. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be an additional benefit to this, and something to think about if we're in a situation where that kind of archival storage is really necessary. One thing that I'm thinking is that because of the way we do this, let me just finish the story and maybe it will address a little bit of that, but I'd love to learn more about SyncThing. So what's happening here is we've got SyncBack going to this guy. So this guy, this machine here, which is the regular workstation, we then benefit from Backblaze's policy. So Backblaze is this weird backup company that decided that they would compete with Carbonite, which is what was the main backup company that really owned the market. And Backblaze decided they would compete with them in a very clever way. So Carbonite, like most farm companies, most places that have large server farms, use commercial grade hard disks. Backblaze made this weird decision saying, no, let's go to Best Buy and buy 200,000 hard drives off the shelf. And that's what they did. So the Backblaze system consists of entirely user grade, consumer level drives, but there's so many of them, there's so much redundancy, it works. It's apparently a lot cheaper. And so, but as a result, Backblaze, unlike Carbonite, offers unlimited storage in its $100 a year version. So this company is paying $100 a year to have all of its storage put into this Backblaze database permanently. This stuff is going to be there forever. As long as they pay Backblaze, they've got their files. And so because we're using a workstation and not a server, we're able to use the personal Backblaze program and back up this 1.5 terabytes, which is getting backed up to Backblaze. This is a very, very economical offsite backup. It basically means all this company's files right now are sitting on Backblaze. And as long as you pay Backblaze, which is not difficult to do, it'd be very, very, very hard for them to lose these files. They're really in a very, very safe place. They can't be embezzled. They can't be extorted. They can't be deleted by accident. It would take a major disaster at Backblaze to lose these things. And Backblaze is very reinforced against that. So it feels to me like a very safe situation. Not perfect, nothing is, but it seems like a very safe situation.
How much is a Backblaze subscription?
$100 a year. And that includes a year of deletion. What that means is if you delete a file, it will stay on Backblaze for an entire year before it gets sloughed off from the backup.
Oh, you have the premium version then, because I think I pay $7 or $8 a month for my Backblaze, but I don't have a year. I think I have 30 days.
If you buy it by the year, they I don't know how long they're doing it, but they're throwing in the year span instead of the 30-day span. For most people, this is not a big deal. But for this company, I thought it was worthwhile to have that extra security. Okay, so let's see if I can now show you a little bit about what Synology looks like. So now that you have a feel for how we're using it, let me see if I can give a bit of a demo. I'm going to be a little bit cagey here because I want to make sure that this customer's privacy is protected. So if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to make that happen. Hold on just a second. And may I ask a question? Why am I being fussy about the customer's privacy, do you think? What is it I'm trying to protect them from?
Well, if they have
Either,
it's part of the HIPAA law. So if the person has personal information about other people on their system, then they cannot allow people to get access to that. Only people that, you know, kind of work for them.
that's true, but I'm not talking about us sharing their data. Why am I being fussy about not sharing their, how their network is set up? What am I trying to protect them against?
Hackers, I guess.
Yeah, I think Drew is more on it by thinking about hackers. So the concern, I'm just trying to figure out how I'm sharing this. Bear with me. You're viewing Adam Frost screen. I've got these several layers of computers. I just have to get my head straight. Bear with me. What I'm concerned about is that someone who knows the infrastructure of a company is at an advantage in breaking in. That's why I think it's appropriate to keep that reasonably confidential. I don't think you need to go nuts about it, but I don't think it's very nice to say, oh, this company has this is where they keep their data, this is how they do stuff, especially because we videotape these meetings, they're available in public, so I want to be particularly careful. So bear with me as I figure out how to do this. So this is the Zoom meeting I'm in. Thank you. And I'm sharing. This is the actual machine that I'm on. So this is the sort of where's the computer version of where's Waldo's. Where's Adam? Which computer is he actually on? This is a remote access to this machine. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm on that machine. Splendid. Now where's Zoom? That's my question. I somehow lost my Zoom program. Thank you. Thank you. I get it. I feel it. I'm sharing. That's good. Actually, I wanted to be doing. Really? Congratulations. What was the trick? That is so interesting. Okay. We discovered that our remote access program doesn't work for Mass Bay. And it turns out it's not the remote access person, it's the dynamic IP system that we use that they're blocking for some reason. I wonder why. Okay. So what me do for a moment is just stop the share while I get my act together. So please bear with me while I do that.
Okay, so while we're in a brief intermission,
yeah,
our AI drive is, as Adam said, a very good program. And they have 2 tiers, a free version and a paid version. The free version gives you access to Microsoft OneDrive and Google Drive and some of the common things that you might need. If you find that you need one of their paid services and you don't want to buy the product, there's an open source product called rClone, the letter RCLONE. It doesn't have the fancy GUI that it has a GUI optional called the rClone browser. And it can do all of the advanced features that our AI drive can do for a fee.
Thank you, Drew. So what I'm doing in the background here is I'm signing into the Synology drive. I'm just going to do that and then I'll be able to show it to you. Actually, I feel comfortable with this. This is not something that's revealing anything. So let me share this with you.
I actually just set up today my first Open Media Vault storage server. It's an open source version of Synology type of technology.
Well, definitely want to learn more about that. Here we are. So can everyone see this? So what I want to emphasize here is that what's happening is that, see the IP address? What do you notice about it?
It has the port number in there.
That's true. That port is the standard Synology port. But what else do you notice about this IP address? There's something unusual about it. That's true.
It looks like you're not using HTTPS.
That's true. And what is it about? What's special about this IP address?
Oh, what's that odd character between the slashes?
The pound sign there?
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't know what that is. But what's unusual about this number? There's something unusual about this. I'm connecting to a device. Where does this device have to be in order for me to connect to it?
On your local network.
On your local network.
Right. So for people who aren't familiar with this concept, the internet has outside addresses and inside addresses. This one uses an inside address. That means this device is inside my network, and it is. This is the one that you saw on the diagram that says CCAL on it. You're looking at it. It's using this fixed IP address that I set up the Synology device to have. And we're accessing it through my network. You cannot access this device any other way. It has no external address at all, which gives it an extra bit of security. It makes it really hard for someone to pound into this device. It's in my network. Bear with me.
If you're familiar, Adam, with SSH server, you can set up remote access to the Synology.
There's various remote options. Good heavens. Someone's eating up an entire machine. Hold on just a second. I'm going to log in now, and it has the customer's name. The login has the customer's name, so just bear with me while I do that. Stop the show. That was an amazing sound. So hold on a sec. It sounded very Dr. Seuss or Harry Potter. Okay, so I'm not sure where that sound's coming from, but it's really noisy. Okay, so I'm logging in to this guy off screen. Get a little privacy for this company. Yes, a very good movie sound effect. Okay, so now I'm going to share again. Bear with me while I do that. Here we are inside the Synology cave. So I want to emphasize, and this is actually to borrow a little homage to Jeff tonight, but I want to say that he was the person who introduced me to this product. And one of the things he said was, you wouldn't believe all the software that this product has. That's the way Jeff would say it. If you go into the package center, you can get just a glimpse of the nutty amount of software that's available here for free. It's all part of the Synology package. There's antivirus software, there's a DNS server, there's a DHCP server, there's various kinds of file stations. There's a backup program. That's the one we're using, Hyper Backup.
So is this all like freeware or is this like software you can try and maybe more?
So Steve, come and ask your questions. They're really important.
So my question was this all freeware, as they might say, or software that you can try and then but have to later on buy or purchase?
This is a great question. So is this like that bar in your hotel room where there's all this great stuff and you discover to your horror that it gets put on your bill later? And the answer is no. This software is part of the package. When you buy one of these industrial strength, not the lowest level of Synology they do pick and choose. They charge you for various things, various kinds of software. But once you buy into this more expensive version, I seem to remember spending $1,000 on this device. So on the one that we're using. And when you buy that professional level version of Synology, all the software, what they're selling really is software. Synology, in a sense, is a software company. This software is their software, and it's Linux-based, and they've provided it, and they provide support for it. And the support is fairly decent. I call it tech support.
Oh, and one more interruption. I just checked, and Synology includes in that package center that you're in,
Yeah.
The SyncThing software.
I think I did see it at one time. Let's see it there. A lot of things named Synology, of course. That makes total sense. Synology Office, which is like their business package. The SyncThing, not seeing it, but I remember seeing it at one point. I remember seeing SyncThing. It might be further. Yeah. In any event, it's got a chat server. I mean, this, you could just have a real riot with this stuff. Like, there's just a lot of interesting things you could learn to explore. Learning how to use the VPN server. And Jeff's comment was that he used some of the stuff. It's great. Like, he had very positive experiences with the software. An Apache server, so you could use, if you wanted to, you could create a web server using a Synology drive. Place here.
Synology is basically the kick-ass version of network attached storage.
Yes. Now, when you're using this kick-ass version, if you're like me, you will get confused. So my first experience of Synology was, where am I? What am I doing? And how do I do this? Because I actually had a job to do. I wasn't just fooling around. I actually had to get this working. And so what I found is that it's helpful to be aware of three different things. One of them is this weird menu here, which is called the main menu. So when you go in the main menu, you get these things. And they're like they're like the things that control the Synology device mainly. That's really what they are. So they include a support center, and they include the file management system, which we'll talk about. But the stuff in the main menu is more overseeing stuff. But you can get into the package center from the main menu as well. Then there's a thing called the control panel. This is just like in a Windows machine where you have a control panel and you have things like your user and group listing. We won't go into the users and groups because it has names of staff. But you can imagine it's just like Windows. You've got users, you can assign users different rights. I am very impressed with Synology's ability to let you say, I want this person to see this file, and I don't want this other person to see this file. We have an accounting department in this company. They have their folder, and it's impregnable. It's like nobody can get into it. It's very hard to make a mistake that would let someone into it. Unlike Windows, which is like the spaghetti of like, is it a folder share? Is it a file share? Who has this right? Who inherited this right? All this other stuff. This is a much more straightforward system, and I think much better for management. It lets you share folders, which we'll talk about. Basically, what we're doing with this is we're creating some shared folders, and then we're synchronizing them. So let's go and look at the synchronization for a moment. I'm going to go back out to the main place here. So what we're going to do is look at how the backup and the synchronization works. Let's start with the backup. Remember that it backs up to that external hard drive? That's this fellow. It's hyper backup. And what hyper backup lets you do is it lets you say, I want everything on the Synology drive backed up. Or I only want this folder backed up. And it gets backed up to an external drive or to some other place. You can also back up to the cloud. It has a whole bunch of fancy features. I want to tell you, for those of you who want to use Synology, that give yourself plenty of room. This is Jeff's advice, and I share it, which is, it takes a while. Synology themselves don't really understand their system. It's so complicated and it's got so many features. So when you call them and you say, how do I synchronize stuff? And they say, well, there's 3 ways to do it. This has this advantage. You can try this. This actually, we discontinued that one. Don't use that. Like, there's a certain amount of, you're visiting a French village and you have to just figure out your way around. But I tried to keep things simple here. And so what we have is in the package center, one of the items is notice there's several things that have the word sync in it. But the one that we chose was hypersync. And that was because that's what they told me, that's what they advised me. No, I'm sorry, share sync. As I say, you get all these words mixed up and get confused about which one is which. If you don't get too angry about it, it actually works pretty well. Somewhere here, there should be share sync. I'm not seeing that. We'll click on install because it'll tell us what we have to do. So here we have hyper backup. There's some SMB service. There's a web drive. Server drive. Share. Now I'm a little bit puzzled. So there's hyper backup, which we're definitely using, but we're using share sync. But I'm wondering whether I'm mistaken in thinking that the share sync is from here rather than the other device. No, it's share sync. But I'm giving you the flavor of like, what? There's more chocolate. Like it's like going to a store that has lots and lots of food, and you have to pick out what it is you want to eat, and it can get quite confusing. And it can get confusing when you have 2 Synology drives. Which drive is doing which task? So that's definitely an area where I get a bit muddled. So let me see if I can get back to. I have a feeling that the synchronization has been done from the other drive. But let's take a look. We're going to look at the file station, but to do that, I just need to cover up something. So bear with me while I do that. Stop the share for a moment.
Another product that is similar to this, that's in the free zone and paid zone, is a product called TrueNAS. TrueNAS Core is free open source network attached storage. Again, not up to Synology's packaging, but if you want to go the open source route, TrueNAS Core is a way to go. And I just installed today my first Open Media Vault product, which is also a network attached storage server. That's free. I'm having trouble hearing what you're saying.
Steve is asking you, is that for watching movies? Is the Media Vault for watching movies?
Oh, no. It's a NAS server.
It's like this, Steve. It's like Synology. So let me just say a few words about, this is the file sharing, and it's really at the center of what we're doing here. So I just wanted to show you as best I can. You can't see the names of these folders because they give away the name of the company. But if you look at see the golden folders with the little locks on them? This is a really important Synology concept. So these are shared folders that we created after we put in the 5 drives. We then said, I want to use the space. So we created these folders. One of them is like a big data folder for the whole company. And it has this lock on it. Now we encrypted the folders. So what happens if someone comes to my house, watches BNUG and says, Adam's got this amazing Synology drive in his house. Let's go steal it. So they come and they steal it. What do they get? They get these folders. But once the Synology drive is turned off, these folders automatically lock and they're encrypted. That's what that gray lock is. In order to open them, you have to mount them with the password, which the person who steals it will not have. We have theft insurance. We'll buy another Synology device. We'll replicate, and life goes on. Also, burglars don't like computer equipment because fences don't like computer equipment. The fences don't understand it. They don't know what to do with them. It's just not a very good thing to steal. In fact, the fence would say, "Don't give me this stuff. I don't know what to do with it." So, but this is an important thing for you to be aware of when you're implementing this kind of network, which is that the mounting is a little sensitive. What we found is once in a while, if there's a blackout, which has happened, or some other event, the drives get unmounted and the backup stopped working, everything stopped working. Even though you might not even be aware of it. That's why we check this stuff carefully to make sure. What we found recently, for example, is that backup to the external hard drive had stopped because the drives had become unmounted. So going in here and checking and making sure that they're mounted is really, really important. So that's the gist of it. I thought it might be fun for us to travel a little bit. So you're looking right now, notice the IP address up here? This is the IP address of our device. But I thought it might be fun to travel a bit and visit the Synology device at the company. So let's see if we can do that in a safe way. Hold on just a second. So I'm going to now do another share. I'm going to do another connection. Now this time I'm going to use a feature. Drew mentioned that you can use SSH. Synology provides a feature where you can access a remote drive by using a link that they provide. So I'm actually invoking that link right now. And I believe that I can share this success. Let me just make sure that I can share this safely. What it's saying is connecting. It's called the Quick Connect. Yeah, and it doesn't give anything away. So I'm gonna show this to you. So hold on just a second. So all I did was I clicked on this Quick Connect link. Bear with me. So I clicked, and now you notice that we're now on a different device. And look at the, oops, sorry. Can everyone see? So,
Yes.
so notice that this device does not have the 192.IP address. Instead, it has the Quick Connect address. And which is probably best not to share too much. But it's not, without the password, it's not really that useful. So just pick it up here. It's not letting me do that. Okay.
As Quick Connect part of Synology?
Yes. So the Quick Connect feature is built into Synology, and what it lets me do, I'm gonna just end the share for a moment while I get you guys in.
Okay, so it's giving you some of the benefits of SSH without the hassle.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's giving me, we're getting remote access. I'm gonna take us right in there, but I just want to get past the password part because that again reveals the customer's identity. So hold on just a second. I'm using KeePass as we do to use this highly secure password. I'm logging into that cave. It's the same cave we were logged in before, but it's physically different. It's a different Synology device. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up here and share it again. Here we go. So now we're in a different, we're not in Kansas, we're in Missouri. Notice these lovely statistics. It's been up for 265 days. It's got a resource monitor, which is saying how much resources it's using. It's relaxing. It's a club med. Like this system handles this 1.5 terabytes and 10 users without even sweating. And then we have exactly very similar arrangement here. It's the same device. We bought duplicate devices. And here, if we look in the package center, and we look at installed, the number installed is slightly different, and I think that's going to help us. So there's the hyperback. We're not actually using hyperback up there. Some of these installed ones we're not using. I continue to be puzzled.
Now, if you were to purchase an extra box without drives,
yes,
and the server that you had a motherboard failure as opposed to a drive failure, could you just unplug your 5 drives and put them in the other machine and turn it on?
No, because the 5 drives are controlled by the configuration of the server. That's a really interesting question. I guess the configuration is stored on those 5 drives. And that's a really good question of whether putting the drives in a new device, how that configuration transfer. That's a good backup question, Drew, that we should explore. Could you look into it? Could you find out where the configuration is kept in Synology? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because back when I was administering Exchange servers, we used to buy an extra blade and just take the data cables and move them over to the new machine.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't know the answer. What I'm puzzled by here is I know for sure we're using ShareSync because I've seen it in operation. I know it's working, but I just can't seem to find it. I'm pretty sure that
type ShareSync into the search box and see if it comes up.
Where are you, ShareSync? Where are you hiding?
No match found.
Well, I thought it was a package. Let's look for the word just sync and see.
Oh wow, it's got good supports good sync.
It's not ours. So I don't really understand how I'm doing this. But this is typical of me with the system, which is I find myself saying, well, I know I did this, but I have no idea how I did it. This is a complicated system. Let's look under control panel and see if it's not. It's called ShareSync. I'm certain of it. I'm not. Well, I can look at the control panel, but I don't know why it would be in here. Unless it's a file service or something. All right. I'm sure it's called ShareSync, but this is so embarrassing that I'll have to show it next time, another time. I'm certain that the synchronization is happening. We know for sure it is. Exactly how it's happening. Wait a minute. Look. No, why isn't that in the package center? I don't get that. Anyway, but here's the thing that's interesting. Notice that it's not here. It's not running. It's saying keep your NAS server synced. It's not running here. So how did we get here? It must be on the other one.
It according to my instructions, it says access the Synology drive on your Synology NAS, and then click on the synced folder tab within the Synology drive.
I get that, but I got this from the main menu. So let's go back to the other one. It's on the other machine. So it's on my CCL machine. It's pulling instead of pushing. So this drive ShareSync is not working on this one, but it is working on the other one. So if people don't mind running just a few minutes late, I'm just gonna, I think this is worth seeing. So let me stop the share. I'm gonna go back to the other device. So bear with me while I do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out of the one at the company, logging out of their thing.
Hmm.
I'm out of their thing. Let me just get out and log out. So I just signed out. Now, what I'm going to do is go back to ours, the one that's in our place. I just have to get the password for that.
Hmm. Now I have to put together the money to go out and buy one of these to play with.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like there's just so much to do with it. So hold on just a second.
Hmm.
And I do want to say that one of the things why we're trying to get more people to come to VNUG, what a professional difference it made to have a colleague tell me about this rather than reading about it online. Having somebody who I knew was a good professional was using this with his customers made me feel much more confident about recommending this to my customer. And I just can't emphasize how important it is to be networking with people. So I'm very grateful to you all for being part of VNUG and making it all work. So hold on just a second. This
Seems
server
like it does
is mine. Yeah, that's not mine. So Steve is asking, could he use the server that we're using? It's not mine. It belongs to this company. We made it. It doesn't belong to me. So this company paid for both of them. And I'm running it on their power. I charge them for the electricity. Like, yeah, it's their, that's their server. It's not mine. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. So notice the IP address, folks. We're back in Kansas. Clear? Okay, this is my office. This is my office. It has a different background too. So now we're going to try to do what we did before and see if we can find share sync. Hoo-ha! And let's take a look at it.
That looks like it's doing something.
It is. It's syncing. Now I can't show you the sync folders because that gives away the customer, but you get the idea. What this is doing is it's reaching over to their Synology and pulling the files over to this Synology. And it's doing it in real time. As somebody writes the file, it gets copied to ours. Then it goes through the Rube Goldberg routine where it gets backed up by that external backup. It gets sent down to our machine, which then gets backblazes it up to Backblaze, where it's safe. But this is critical. If this sync stops happening, which has happened, so I just want to spend just a moment as we're wrapping up. Lots of things have gone wrong with this system. It's a good system, and it's working well. And I think it's been a sensible investment for this company. I think this has been a very good way of handling the problem. But it's all kinds of trouble. Like we've had issues with Backblaze. Sometimes it gets confused about the drives. We've had issues where the syncing stopped working. We've had issues where the drives got unmounted because of a blackout. But we haven't had any showstoppers. We haven't had any, oh my God, this is so stupid, this won't work. We haven't had a single worker say, I couldn't get to my file yesterday, or there was slowness, or we had not one incident like this, including all these customers working remotely through COVID and doing all this stuff. I have to say, it's been a Maytag repairman experience in that sense. It's been a very positive experience. So highly recommended. I urge people to explore this, and happy to do more talking about it another time. I'm excited to say that Drew has agreed to do a talk on Chromebooks next time, and on using Chromebooks in all kinds of ways. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope people will join us then, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful month, and encourage people to come to the board meeting and help us grow this group. As I mentioned, I think this kind of group is really important for people and for customers. And so I just encourage people to reach out and let people know about it, particularly younger folks. who aren't used to going to networking groups, but would get a whole lot out of it. Thank you.
So I got the answer to my question.
Yeah,
If you have a Synology NAS, you need to be careful when removing the drives to make note of the order in which they were installed in the first NAS.
that makes
You
sense.
can then replace them into a second NAS in that same order and boot up the drive.
And
if-
all configuration will be in place.
Yes, and it should avoid any data loss or damage.
That's a wonderful thing to know.
This drive is Synology. I was just saying this, I don't know. So Drew and Adam, so if you take and move those drives around from one Synology setup to another, can you name, if you name each drive on that Synology system, so that maybe when you say Adam has one drive says it's Peter, so he takes Peter out and puts another like Peter 2 in. You can name each Synology drive individually to make sure that you when you pull drives out and out, you have the same kind of method of setting up the Synology system.
Yeah, so I think we're talking about two different things. What Drew is talking about, and Steve had a good idea, which is if the drives are well named. We didn't do that when we set this up. We just threw the drives in. We didn't care. But it's a really good idea that when you set up your Synology drive, name the 5 drives, give them numbers or names, so that if you are, numbers make the most sense to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that as you take the drives out, if you have to put it in another Synology drive, you'll be able to put them in the proper order. That's really helpful, Drew. Thank you. All right, folks, enjoy all your Rube Goldberg experiences.
And that DS1522 box is $700.
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah, before the drives.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
drives.
Yeah, one time. Be well, everybody. Thanks for coming.